everybody. Doug Berry here. Welcome to the Sierra region of California and Nevada. Today we're going to go over to the Hawthorne Ordnance Museum for part 2 with a tour with the museum curator. It should be interesting. Here we are at the Hawthorne Ordnance Museum in Hawthorne, Nevada.
Welcome, Doug. My name is Peter Papadakos. I'm the curator of the Hawthorne Ordnance Museum, a place where obsolete and old weapons come to retire. And weapons come here, they check in and they never check out. We're standing over here next to the anti-submarine rockets used during the 1960s. This was Arleigh Burke's vision to put missiles on his World War II era destroyers and to make them relevant during the Cold War. The interesting part was that one model of those anti-submarine rockets was nuclear armed. It had a 10 kiloton W-44 warhead, and we have that as the top display piece. This
one right here, the Mark 17?
Yes, this is a handling shape. It is 100% accurate, externally accurate, dimensionally and weight-wise, and it was used by ship's personnel for loading the Matchbox launcher. And so this is how you arm this weapon. It's very simple. There's no briefcase, there's no Army personnel with gold ropes on them or anything like that. All you do is that you turn the safety switch, you align this word here, arm, with the word arm, and when you close this, you're going to start a series of switches. And what it will do is that will arm the plutonium implosion triggers for these flood ports that are right at the top. And that's essentially how you arm it. And that was it. And what's the beauty of this weapon is that it would not detonate until it's over 900 feet under sea. It takes that kind of sea pressure to activate the triggers on this weapon.
Got something interesting here that Peter is going to inform us about.
This is an AGM-78D3 standard anti-radiation missile. This missile specifically is designed to lock onto the radar emissions, in this case for the SM-2 guideline missile system that the Russians were providing to the North Vietnamese during the late 1960s and the early 1970s. It is a perfect shape for us because it has no blast package and it has no rocket motor. But if you hook this up to an F-15E fighter, you will actually get a heartbeat. You'll activate the full Doppler radar system that is underneath this nose cone. And it's an incredible piece. The museum was fortunate enough to have several of these. We donated one to the Smithsonian National Air and Space Museum, and even a national university that uses it as a vibration test bed. You could, down on the radar site, turn the radar off and on to try to confuse this, but because of its inertial navigation, it will never forget where the target is. And so it will home in and it will destroy that radar facility. It's a fantastic missile. It eventually, though, was replaced with a shorter range model that, because it was shorter range, it wasn't as heavy. This is over 3,000 pounds. And so it was also used as a variant on U.S. naval ships.
Part 1 of my tour of the Ordnance Museum, I was really interested in these cluster bombs. And here we have the museum curator who's going to tell us a little bit more about them.
This is CBU-24, C/D. This is probably the most infamous weapon that we have in the museum today because its legacy continues to this day. Each bomb held over 600 of what we would call bomb live unit 26s. And in the field, these are called baseballs. And what happens is that when this clamshell opens up per the fuse that sets per number of feet from the aircraft, what happens is that these begin to free fall into the slipstream that's left behind from the aircraft. And what happens is that the air catches these riblets and this begins to spin. And this is going to spin up to 3,000 RPM. At 3,000 RPM, it arms.
Oh, these little ridges that are on
Yes,
here.
yes.
Oh, I see that now.
Yes, that's absolutely the whole
How
point of this.
interesting. Look at that.
Well, now the problem here, and you can see the blast pattern that's been pressed into the metal. There's only about 1.5 ounces of hytrol in one of these bomblets. This bomblet is not designed to kill. It is designed to maim. And that tells you a lot about the war in Vietnam. Vietnam was a war of attrition that was being run by both sides. And this little bomblet, again, was not designed to kill you. It was designed to blow your hand or your foot off. These are thermobaric bombs. We also call them fuel air explosive bombs. The top one is actually a test piece which was used for fitting it to aircraft. And that's why it's painted black and orange. It was filled with an alcohol and water solution, and it is still full to this day. We didn't want to take it apart and empty it because it would actually damage the shape. So we left her full. These other ones that are right here operate along the same lines. They carry 3 canisters, which are called Blue 55s or Bomb Line Unit 55 cluster munitions, and each one is designed to put and atomize 5 gallons of ethylene oxide into the air, create a vapor cloud, and then there's a submunition inside that cloud that goes pop, and it creates a massive flame cloud. And when you do that, you're creating not so much the flame cloud, but you're creating a pressure wave that can go as high as 10,000 pounds per square foot. Now don't try this at home. This is a 500-pound bomb from World War II, and this is how heavy they are when you pick one up. This is about it right here. This is it. Now, you're going to say, well, Pete, why is there 2 lugs on the top? That's the American system, and then the British used a single lug system. So we had the single lug on the bottom, and that's why this is a double lug. And then that's the tail fuse right there. Right there. Yeah. And he makes these, and they're absolutely 100% authentic except for their actual weight. This is the actual 750-pound bomb with the conical fin. This is exactly how it would have looked like during the Vietnam War with the modern day fin. The World War II fin is like this when they were dropping them out of B-17s and B-24s.
Interesting.
You can see the difference there.
Look how much bigger this one is.
Oh, absolutely.
The modern one. Oh, it's kind of heavy too.
And what's interesting here is, if we can do that real quick, is, you have this conical fin that's right here. If we can walk over here, you can see. Oh, come on over. These are the other fins that followed. Now, this was the conical fin that they used, but they found out that this bomb with this fin dropped too quickly. So the Navy and the Air Force had to come out with a high drag fin, and this is a snake eye fin. And we have this on display outside. And this, when this opens, it opens up like this, and it will cause an incredible amount of drag.
Kind of like your hand opening up like that?
Absolutely, and it allows the airplane to get away from the shock.
Oh, it slows it down like a parachute.
Yes,
okay.
and which is incredible. Important that you say that, because this is the parachute one. This is the one that has a retarder that inflates
like a parachute
with air.
on a drag racer, right?
That's
and it opens up into that, and that slows down the bomb.
Yeah,
Who would have thought? Who would have thought?
And that is actually still used to this day. I saw a B-1 bomber. Was it B-1? No, it was a B-2. I apologize. It was B-2 bomber recently dropped a series of unguided bombs using that same drag chute to essentially slow the bombs down so that the B-2 could get out of the area. Yeah, it was interesting.
So, Peter, tell me about this big brute here.
This is our Abbott FV433 self-propelled gun. It is a 105 millimeter gun, and it is specifically designed to fire American ordnance. It does not use, though, the brass or the steel cartridges. Instead, to fire the projectiles, the British use powder bags, which is very interesting, and it also saves on a lot of space. The Abbott was specifically designed to be transported in a container, a normal shipping container. And so this can go anywhere in the world. And there are apparently several that are over in Ukraine right now.
Were you telling me there was some farmer that was using this as his daily commuter to get from the farm into town?
Yes, he used this for 18 years to drive from his farm into his town in Coventry. And
so Peter, I'm just curious though. I mean, why didn't he choose to use like a riding lawnmower instead of this big brute of a tank?
You can buy these for next to nothing.
They're cheaper than okay.
And
they're cheaper.
They don't demilitarize anything on it except removing the radios in England.
I just think that would attract a lot of attention, especially out in the countryside.
He did a couple of videos that showed him driving down the road, but people generally would pull off to the side to make room for him.
Picture the farmer there going into town, going to the pub.
Yeah, he was actually at a car show.
Going to the car show. I stand
car show.
Going to the car show.
Yeah.
I stand corrected.
Yeah, and then he got.
Let's take a look at the fighting space on this big baby.
The fighting space, or what we call the turret, it's sort of interesting to note that on the Abbott, there was actually a 6-man crew, but 2 of the crew could not travel with the Abbott because there's no room for them. And so they would be in an auxiliary vehicle that would be behind it. But you had the tank commander, and they called the person who aimed the gun and fired it number 1. And so he was in there, and also was a loader. So there was just 3 personnel that were inside.
That had to fit inside that.
Yes, the driver is outside this completely.
Interesting. Look at that.
And everything is 100% complete. Everything still works, and the radios we were able to replace because there was a UN peacekeeping mission that was ending their service, and they were going to get rid of their radios, and they were the same ones that went to the Abbott. So we were able to replace those and have those shipped from Egypt to Poland, and then from Poland to Texas. And so we actually
so that makes it an international arms dealer, right?
Yes, I guess so. And so we have the radios that are in here, and the radios work, and so does the intercom system.
So Peter, when I came here about a year ago, you were talking about you actually went to my old ship, the USS Horn, the guided missile cruiser 30 that was up in the mothball fleet up in Grizzly Bay and Sassoon Bay in the San Francisco Bay Area. Tell me about that experience.
Starting in 2003 and lasting all the way through another 10 years to 2013, members of the Hawthorne Ordnance Museum would go to Sassoon Bay Reserve Fleet, and we would strip U.S. Navy guided cruisers, and we take off, a lot of the brass bells, a lot of the internal communication systems, sometimes full computer systems that were obsolete. This is the museum's cannon collection. It wasn't something that we intentionally set out to create. It was something that just sort of came together. The faraway unit is a standard 20 millimeter gun, and I used to take that to gun shows and whatnot. For
the one on the end there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all right. And that's just a standard. You can use that on ship and also on aircraft. I've seen an 81 Sky Raider have that exact gun. The one that's right next to it is a 25 millimeter cannon that was an ATF seizure, and they didn't know where to put it, and so
an ATF seizure.
ATF seizure.
Someone had that in their garage or something.
Yes, over in Fallon, and the gentleman was shooting it, and he was shaking his house to pieces. And so ATF sees that, and the ATF brought that here, and we have it on as a custody agreement. And so the one that's on this side is another 20 millimeter gun, and that went into an F-100D fighter aircraft.
This one right here with the silver belt.
Yes.
Okay.
And I was at the Pima Air and Space Museum many years
In
ago.
Arizona?
And they were getting ready to cut it up and destroy it because they already had one and they didn't want another one. So I said, I'll take it. And the one that's right next to it is a Lyle gun. And the Lyle gun was designed, and it was really, from World War I to World War II, we were losing ships so close to shore that we had to have a rescue system to save the people in the sinking ship. And so they would shoot this from shore onto the sinking ship and create a trolley, and then with a bosun's chair, they could hoist those people off.
Right.
And that was donated to us by a gentleman in California who was closing down his ship salvage business. And so this is just a normal Browning 50 caliber machine gun. This one was found in the Nevada desert, and some of our volunteers bead blasted it and just gave it a coat of black paint.
Is he a bomb sniffing dog?
He's
Peter?
a bomb sniffing dog.
He is a bomb sniffing
He's
dog.
looking for explosives. This is an actual World War II Sten machine gun that has been rendered inert, but is on display here for people to be able to hold it.
Is it pretty heavy?
It is very heavy, because otherwise the barrel would warp and then it wouldn't be very accurate.
Yeah.
And so we have these on display so people can feel how heavy one of these. To appreciate what the poor veteran had to go through when he was slugging through with this. But it has a folding stock on it, and its origin is from the United Kingdom.
Huh, interesting. I noticed when I was in the Navy, on the guided missile cruise, we had the 50 caliber machine guns on the port and starboard side.
Yeah.
Man, those barrels would overheat. It wouldn't take much to fry one of those barrels.
Yeah, they're going to replace those now with 20 millimeter twin 20s, and the gunner is in the middle between the two.
This is what we were talking about, isn't it?
Yep, that's it. That's the snake eye. It opens up. It's a retard fin, and it's a general purpose bomb. And they were used not just on the smaller bombs, but they went all the way up to the 2,000 pounders, and those things were dramatic. I unfortunately was not able to save one of those.
So Peter was telling me these are what were used to clean the 5-inch 54 cannon on the actual ship that I was on. No wonder I kept saying it smells like the ship around here. Goodness, there's all kinds of parts that he took off the ship that are actually here at the museum. Amazing. Yeah. So these are the actual powder bags that they used on the battleships, on the 16-inch guns.
Yes.
Muzzle right here on a 1645 goes to a 60-foot long barrel. Look at the rifling on that.
And that piece by itself weighs over 5,000 pounds.
5,000 pounds, just that little section of it.
Yeah, it averages about 237 pounds an inch.
So here's some 5-inch 54 rounds, the actual rounds. This is what our ship shot out of our cannon aft by the fantail. We had our missile launchers on the forecastle, and we had the 5-inch 54 aft. Oh, that is heavy.
Yep.
And look, this one even has USS Horn right on it. Amazing.
Maybe what you guys should do is have the reunion group for the USS Horn and have it here in Hawthorne, and use the hotel facilities at the El Cap, and you could have your reunion get together here at the museum, and you could be around the ordnance that you guys used to fire.
Whole pallet of the 5-inch 54 rounds right there.
That's a whole pallet. Yeah. There's a handle right there. 65 tons.